Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. I hope you guys are doing well. I see we got Joe and Kelly in the house, Joseph Callie, Celestial Blue, Angela. I know I saw Dave. Dave was, I think, the first guy here. Dave Lewis was early. Yeah, I wanted to do one quick now because there's some major points that have come up. And I think it's a good thing to make everybody aware of it if you haven't heard yet.
Hi, you guys. It's great. Hi, Miss Susan. Hi, Simon. Miss Abundantly Grateful. Great to see you here.
Yeah, lots of things going on. While we wait for a few more people to join us, we could start in maybe towards the back. I'll go backward first here. So this is out of Zero Hedge, and good title: 6 Reasons Why CV19 Fails the Sniff Test. Something stinks, doesn't it? I mean, it feels off. Everything just feels off about this whole situation. We've had so many people that apparently seem to be knowing it was coming, expecting it, doing tests on it, obviously. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Event 201. We had that 2010 video of China, catching a cold. There's been so many different things, different studies and done on this. And the way it's coming out and the hype, but yet, there's obviously people getting sick, obviously. And now the panic is kind of in, and we're starting to see shelves, emptied across the country. And everybody's mentally preparing themselves, to be in a situation that we've seen in other countries over here now in the U.S. and then also UK and Canada, Australia. Something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, the level of deceit on this is just huge. It's a huge amount. And if there's one thing I can pick up, it's deceit, and it makes me just absolutely nauseous. And I've seen a couple things you guys have sent me as far as the numerology, and the number 33 has come up way too many times.
Yeah, do you remember some of those circumstances? Because she just we were doing things and I'm doing research, and then she's bringing up, oh, hey, here's another case with 33 and another case with 33. Mm-hmm. 33 people here, 33 people there.
And then the number 33% is, just the number 33, and not in a good way either. We have our good numerology, bad numerology. This is the other people's, it's like their branding. It's like we are all over this.
Well, it's also like they're sending messages and codes. So there's people in these.
Oh yeah, 33 Turks died, stuff like that.
Yeah, 33 Turks died, exactly. These are signals. These are codes that are put out there by these secret societies to each other to let each other know, I guess, how things are progressing, or maybe when you see 33 Turks died, and then it's time to go and do something. And it sounds like a James Bond movie or something like that, but that's the reality we have. Yeah. There's all these signals, there's all these codes, there's all these ritualistic things that are always going on.
Always, and I mean, it's just disgusting. I hate the deceit. What really bothers me most of all is that they think we're that stupid, but maybe they don't think that us, the ones that are awake, are that stupid. But what really bothers me is that a big majority of the population is still asleep to this. And it's not that they're stupid, it's just they've been conditioned. And this is what predators do to us, is they condition us slowly. So when it does come time to wake up, sometimes it's too hard on the human psyche to snap out of it.
Yeah, so in the article it's talking about 2 to 3% mortality rate. Well, I mean, they've gone from 2% to now saying about 3.5%. Which obviously there's things out there that are way higher, but at the same time, the higher the mortality, the more likely it's going to burn itself out. And so, there's been some major things uncovered recently, or at least, being given to us recently, that are starting to make sense, because, well, at least somewhat sense. We know there's more than one thing going on here. We've talked about that. And, so we now hear, and now I'll jump over. Okay. This is out of Daily Mail. Now we hear there's 2 strains of this killer, virus going around. 70% of infected patients have caught the more aggressive and contagious type. So, like we were saying, okay, there seems to be more than one thing going on. We said that since day one. It just feels like there's more than one.
I found a way to run my old...
Gosh, I hate those things popping up. Daily Mail has so many of those. And I hate to use papers that have all these pop-ups as well. But this does make sense, in that why do some people just drop, and why are some people getting, just a mild case? So when we look at this now, we see researchers from Beijing and Shanghai studied 103 samples of coronavirus. They found 2 strains of it, named them L and S. They found that L was more common. L is also the most aggressive, but it's become less common since early January. A virus which is too aggressive may burn itself out by landing patients in the hospital and in isolation. So when you think about it, yeah, there's things such as Ebola and some other stuff that is just horrifying, and it kills such a huge percentage of people, but they tend to burn themselves out. So obviously, in the world of biowarfare, you would want something that is not going to burn itself out, or something that's going to mutate, perhaps. And that's what we're seeing with this. So, more than 94,000 people, 95,000 now have caught it. 3,200 have died. Well, we know the numbers that's not even close to accurate. But the coronavirus has mutated into at least 2 separate strains since the outbreak began in December, according to these Chinese scientists. So, that would make sense in why we see some people face plant and other people run away, at breakneck speed, like they're not even sick as well. So 70% of the people have caught the more aggressive strain of the virus. And that's the one that China has been struggling with for the most part. Now going into the 7th week, I believe, again, we don't know the real timeline. It might have been earlier as well. So now an older, milder strain seems becoming more common. Knowing that the virus can mutate may make it harder to keep track of or treat, and raise the prospect that recovered patients could become reinfected, hence the reinfections that we see as well. And maybe there's more than the 2 strains, and maybe this is even programmed to do this on a regular basis. Who knows, because, again, I think most of us feel this is not a naturally occurring thing when we have, we saw those HIV splices in it,
Right. And thank you, Henry, for your support. He says, at what point will medical martial law happen after the WHO pandemic bonds mature in July, ? Or how many people must suffer? It's like they want it. Yes, they want it. And my gut's going to say, I don't think they're going to actually use those vocabulary words. I think they're going to expect us to just self-quarantine and stuff. And at a certain level, common sense should prevail. And yeah, if we should stay in, then we should stay in. But a lot of it is a state of mind at this point. We have the choice to be where we want to be in our head. And that's definitely can't be in a place of fear, because then we're feeding them.
Yes. Thank you, Henry. Thank you for your support. I don't think it's going to be all the way in July. I think you're going to see more and more progressive lockdowns happen in certain areas. Where here first? Most likely it's going to be up in Washington and the Seattle area from what we're seeing, but you never know. As we're looking at here, we're looking at 2 different strains. So you got 30% of patients have the oldest strain of the virus, which is less aggressive, slower spreading, causes milder illness, continues to infect new patients at a steady rate. And then you have 70% getting the mutated form. So S is the older, L is the mutated form. More aggressive, faster spreading, causes worse illness, most common in early outbreak in Wuhan. Infections have trailed off as the outbreak has progressed. But, look at what's going on in Iran, because Iran and Italy seem to be getting hit hard, super hard. And if we are to look at the numbers and trust the numbers, it just doesn't make sense unless they have a different strain that they're fighting. If the numbers coming out of Japan and Singapore and some of these other Asian countries are not too distorted and fairly accurate, then there's definitely a different strain over there that's dominant. So that would make a lot of sense, and perhaps this is part of, answering some of the questions about why we see some people just dropping and why some people, can outrun the guys that are trying to chase them and put them in a quarantine. So the S-type, which is evolutionarily older and less aggressive, might have increased in relative frequency due to relatively weaker selective pressure. Human intervention may have placed more severe selective pressure on the L-type, which may be more aggressive and spread more quickly. So we'll watch this. This is interesting to see, and will there be more mutations? And am I the only person that doesn't think that the WHO and Tedros and all them are doing a very good job at all? They think that it almost feels like their job is to make things worse, by not acting properly, not having enough equipment, and not getting things ready quick enough, and just moving so slow, not using the terminology so they could save their money. Just crazy, and it makes it feel like it really is an attack on humanity with the either just complete ineptness and incompetence. Is this the best of the best, really, that we have, the best brains? Or is it that they really have a different agenda from the rest of humanity? What's really the case there? A lot of us are very suspicious. So when you look at the caseload and we see the ever-increasing dots, now China is just about obscured completely. And we see a lot of the Middle East is getting covered. Europe is almost getting totally covered as well. And you're showing 5,621 in South Korea, 95,075 overall, 80,270 mainland China, over 3,000 in Italy. Just about. You got 2922 in Iran and 706 others. 331 in Japan, 262 in Germany, 257 France, 222 Spain, 148 US, 110 Singapore, 102 Hong Kong. So, look at Japan, right? Singapore, Hong Kong. They've been facing this way longer than we have in the US, way longer than Europe. But look at the numbers. Germany, France, and Spain, in just a matter of maybe 4 days, will be above Japan. Is Japan not reporting? Is Singapore and Hong Kong not reporting? Or are there different strains going on? And, I keep going back to a couple things. One of the reasons why I think I feel the way I feel is because I've had visions since childhood of WW3. Not that I want it to happen. I don't want to give it energy, but I've just seen it, and had visions of it and dreams of it. So when strong feign weakness, when weak feign strength. And this is also part of the reason why I'm covering so closely what's going on in Turkey and Syria. Because to me, this does feel very suspicious, and who is really behind all this? Who is really behind all this?
It's like who's on first? What's on second? That joke, yeah.
Who? Yeah. Who? Yeah.
He's so cute.
Sorry. So, yeah, Thomas Bezzy says the Matrix is shutting down. Yeah, 95K. Crystal Core Art, good to see you. Good to see you, Tina. And we're trying to, wow, things are flying there. Yeah, there's new cases all over the place. And let's jump over to this. So we see, LA was going to make a statement. They did. They declared emergency after confirming 6 new cases in over 48 hours. So they have 35 in California. So that's the most. And again, we know that probably eventually they will come out and say, well, a lot of the flu deaths were probably COVID-19. After the fact, after the, what's the term there? When cat's out of the bag, something like that.
Yeah. It's a form of covert narcissism is what it is. It's disgusting.
Well put. So Washington State, where you have at least 9 people died, and there's at least 27. And see, now the market is rallying off of Biden's Super Tuesday win. How many people think that he even won? Really? Do we think we really have free elections? And that's a totally different subject. But you could see it. These are the powers that be. They already know who's won the next election. That, to me, I think that's the reality of it. And it's just a drama and a play. We're watching WWE here. That's what we're watching. It's just like watching the WWE. It's all scripted. And here, this is out of the Times of Israel. Virus is a biological attack on China and Iran, the Iranian civil defense chief claims. Brigadier General says analysis and certain news reports point to the source of the virus being a hostile state with economic goals. And I did read body language and certain words that came out, and I got to agree with him. Now, is it truly an attack? I mean, it looks like it's an attack on Iran, the way they're suffering. They had like 20% of their version of Congress sick, with this. So, boy, has it hit them hard. It's hit them so hard. Yeah, I think it's up in the air on who really released this. So the head of Iran's civil defense organization, Brigadier General Gholam Reza Jalali, said on Tuesday that media fear-mongering over the new CV, COVID-19, and spread of the disease in his country bolsters claims that the virus is a biological attack on China and Iran. The virus is known to have killed dozens and infected thousands in Iran. A study of the consequences of the virus in terms of tolls or the extent of the epidemic and the type of media propaganda over the issue that is aimed at increasing fear and panic among people strengthens the speculation that a biological attack has been launched against China and Iran with economic goals. Jalali told Iran's semi-official Fars news agency. Jalali said that analysis and certain news reports point to the source of the virus being a hostile state, but that laboratory research is required to compare the new strain with the primary virus in order to prove the assumption. So on Tuesday, UN health officials said the new coronavirus is well established in Iran and warned that a lack of protective gear for healthcare workers was complicating efforts to control the outbreak. It's not an easy situation, Michael Ryan, who heads the World Health Organization's emergency program, told reporters in Geneva. So the outbreaks claimed 77 lives and infected more than 2,300 more people across the country. It's affecting multiple cities. Now, the real numbers apparently are way higher than that. We've talked about that before, that we're talking really in the tens of thousands. There was one official that came out and said 60,000 a few days ago. So, again, the official numbers are not even close to what's really going on. And then we have seen mass graves being dug. As over there, they will not do the crematorium. They're not going to incinerate because it's not part of Islam. It's against Islamic tradition. So shallow graves it's going to be over there. So it's really curious. And, is that an accurate statement he said? Well, what do you guys think about that?
Well, what I think about it is everything that we read in the headlines is probably being spoon-fed to us to create a certain mindset. Oh, who's this? I didn't see that. Thank you so much, Paul Dengler. We appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the Brooklyn Way, thank you so much too. And Susan said it's buffering really, really bad. But yeah, I think we need to use our discernment right now and understand that this is being spoon-fed to us. So with all this information, we need to look at it on many different levels and other different flavors too.
Yeah, and one thing that I think it did affect is this right here. Here you see Maine voters uphold law barring religious opt-outs on immunizations. So Maine primary voters on Tuesday voted to uphold a state law, and this is a new state law that's going to eliminate philosophical and religious exemption for mandated childhood Vs. So as it says here, Maine Governor Janet Mills says tonight health and well-being of Maine children prevailed. And, if she was a little more educated, perhaps she would make a different statement, or if she wasn't in somebody's pocket, at the same time. But I would bet that because of this, because of what we're seeing now, it probably made more people say, oh, yeah, we better uphold that law, and we'll take the mandatory Vs. And I do think it's influenced, as we see another paper covering it. That's why I bet you it would not have survived if we didn't have this going on.
There's Bruco. Please go sub to Bruco's channel, you guys. He is the sweetest, bestest, wonderful person on the planet, I swear. Besides Michael. Michael's like my number one guy. But anyways, Bruco says, beautiful souls. Check Simpson's decoding about COVID-FIVEG is very obvious to see what is going on. Much love for all of you. Much love to you too. Thank you. And D-Dreg the Red, 1111 phenomena, solar microwave, Nova Earth catastrophe cycle, and Luke 21 also connected. Good point. Thank you. Jean McLeod. Shout out from St. George, Utah. Love you too. And ladies, sorry, I'm bad with names. You sound like my Aunt Karen. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks you guys for your support. Super appreciated.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And nuclear quantum lasers, if you're in the house, don't be jealous of Bruno. I mean, I'm not jealous of you, so don't be jealous of Brew. What we're seeing, though, is I think there's multiple things going on. Do I think there is one or more viruses out there? I don't doubt there is. Do I think that there's also FIVE involved in EMF in basically affecting the potency of it and transmission? And yeah, I think that's all. I think there's so many different layers to this. This is like, have you guys ever had a 7-layer dip? You ever have like the 7-layer dips? They're yummy. I mean, you got like a layer of refried beans, and you have a layer of cheese, a layer of sour cream, a layer of guacamole. Well, this is kind of like that, I think. I think there's a lot of things to this, and that's what's going to get a lot of people at odds with it as well. And maybe disagreeing, saying, no, it's this, no, it's that. I think there's a lot to this. It's just like when we start tearing apart how they use politics and religion to get in there and to divide us, because there's a little truth over here, and there's a little truth over there, and there's a little truth over here, but it's been twisted over here, and it's been twisted over there, and this is going to make this group mad at this group, and this is going to make this group disagree with that group, and they're going to be busy arguing with each other while we go ahead and plaster the skies a little bit more. And I think that's what we're seeing. There's a lot of different layers to this, And it's something it's hopefully going to get uncovered as we go on in greater depth. Here you see a New York lawyer, his wife, his children, and neighbor all test positive. I mean, you want to talk about something that is being spread. And again, how about transmission? How about transmission? How do we know that it's not, just look up. Do you see a checkerboard pattern in the sky? How do we know that it truly is, being spread only the way they say? And perhaps, there's more than meets the eye with this. But do I think something's being spread? Yeah, I think there's more, as we've seen, there's at least 2 different strains. I think that's an admission. As you see here, 285 people infected in France, 73 more than on Tuesday. So in one day's time, you have great leaps going on right now through Europe. So let's see, because there were those people that were saying, this is a bioweapon geared towards Asians, and if you have the ACE2 receptors, then you have to worry. If you don't, you don't have to. Maybe this is like that nasty computer virus that, every time you go to wipe it out, it just mutates and changes into something else, and you got to try to find it again. Maybe the original people exposed were not the original targets. And, let's keep our minds open to all possibilities, because, ultimately there is a war going on. It's a war against humanity. And that's been going on for a very long time. And you see here, autopsy results included in latest diagnosis treatment plan for COVID-19. So it shrinks the spleens and it necrotizes the heart tissue. That's pretty damn nasty. That is pretty damn nasty. Any doubts that this is something, possibly occurring naturally in nature? I don't think so. This is definitely something that some mad scientists, a series of mad scientists, probably put together in some sort of lab to behave the way it does, to mutate. We'll have to keep watching, seeing how these mutations occur.
Okay, Miss Tina, she says, please let all people know, be careful buying masks on eBay. Multiple people selling fake masks that do not protect. A huge seller was just confiscated all products in Italy. Thank you so much. And I did see someone saying you can make your own masks with pantyhose and actually dip it in eucalyptus. I think I didn't catch the exact, but I would start looking up, and I know it's not probably the preferred way. You probably want something professionally made. But if there are no masks, we may have to do the DIY masks. And I thought that might be one way to do it. That was a good idea. And thank you so much for that.
Yeah. 322, Babylon Falling. 322, Skull and Bones, giving the little signals out. Susan says that, the skies are covered like crazy, obvious patterns so in our face. When are we going to demand that they stop? When are we going to demand? I was going to do a video that was just stating that, we want you, we're calling on you to stop it now and to let us know exactly what is up there, because how do we know? 33 cases in Canada now. There you go, right? And okay, so we're talking about multi-layered. So what would the final component be? Well, many people think it's, what did we just cover over in Maine, right? So what if that's like a final component? Interesting, because I was going to show Cindy Resident Evil, because she's never seen Resident Evil, but I didn't know she could handle it because it's pretty dang nasty. And so I just showed her on Netflix, just like a trailer of it, and I keep getting reminders from Netflix, hey, you got to finish watching the movie. Really? And why? I've never seen that before, but there's reminders to go watch the rest of Resident Evil. And I just thought that's really weird. But, again, when we look at that scenario, Raccoon City, guys, and it was released on purpose. Everything's always telegraphed, so Blue World Order, we'll check it out. And 3M 1900 home furnace filter protects from virus. The thing too is most definitely, yeah, right? Finish our movie now. They live. And I've shared with you guys, I met Roddy Piper right when he got done filming They Live. And that was up in Canada, in Toronto. And it was at the Hard Rock Cafe. And he actually bought a round of beers. He was a great guy. Really good guy. And he did believe that they were telling us the truth in that movie as well. Yeah, there's so much going on, guys. So much going on. But, build your immune systems. That's the key. That's the key. You got to get stronger. Build your immune systems. That is so important right now. And here you see pet of Hong Kong coronavirus patient could be first human to animal transmission. So says the experts. We've been hearing that. Italy closes schools. There you go. As death toll hits 107. Life's going to go on pause, guys. Life's going to go on pause. And in some ways, it could be okay. If we could solidify ourselves spiritually, take time to go within, get stronger. You're right, Zeke. Zeke's having a little episode here. So here we see coronavirus fears empty streets in some of the world's busiest cities. Zeke must have gotten upset when I was talking about the pet transmission.
Yeah, he did.
He got upset.
He's feeling better now.
Okay. As we see here again, the streets are emptying in some of the world's busiest cities now around the globe. You don't have to wait in line. But then again, have any of you guys gone and watched a movie in the last few days? Have you gone to a theater? Have you gone out to a restaurant? I mean, I wonder if people are still doing that, because we haven't been doing that for a long time now.
No, we live in a small enough space where it wasn't too huge of a leap to just sort of kind of stay home,
Yeah, most definitely. And so when we see this, here you see lines of people waiting to buy masks. To me, that almost feels counterproductive, because you're exposing yourself to, I'm sure there's people out there that have this. I would think it'd be better to just try to find something you could order, have it shipped to you, stay isolated as much as you can. And so here we have the WHO saying the CV death rate's 3.4%, higher than previously thought. No kidding, right? No kidding. 3.4% of COVID-19 cases have died. So says Tedros, the Director General. Should we all thank them for the great job they're doing over there at the WHO? And so it's higher than basically the numbers. And we have talked about the RO rate, which I haven't seen anything new on now in a while. And okay, where we go. So you have swarms of locusts coming in now. And I was talking to Robert in Africa, who runs that orphanage, and thank you guys for your support for him as well. And what they're starting to see now is food shortages, and people are going hungry in Africa now, en masse, and it's not a good situation. And as we're watching the locust swarms, they spread into India and Pakistan, and they're heading into China. They've decimated the Middle East and Africa. Obviously, this is too much of a perfect storm against humanity. This is biblical, and yet nobody's like, why are not enough people asking, why is this happening all at the same time? And then you'll get people that say this is God's judgment on mankind, to which I say, well, Enlil was a prick.
Right. right? Who's God? Which God?
Yeah, because I don't think it's the creator of the universe, picking on us. I think things are done in God's name, but it's not God. It's the dark forces that are doing this. So here we see a lady that's starting to go crazy, because people in China have been locked up, and as she says, I have never been locked up like this. I'm not in jail. You don't let me move at all. My poor legs. She's a grandma stomping, and 6 to 8 weeks people have been locked up. And they used to be able to get around, and not necessarily the case unless you're workers. Here you see female workers fled back to work in ASUS industry in Suzhou after the CCP authorities ordered them to resume work despite the virus, because, the country will collapse eventually, and that means the party will collapse, and we can't have the party collapsing. They'll do anything to maintain their power. And of course, when you look at China and the absolute power that's over there right out in your face, it's absolutely disgusting, how they just treat people. It's horrible. And check out this, this flight was delayed, boarding now. Where's the masks? There's no masks. That's not good. Not good. And here you see two elderly people in Hanyang District, Wuhan, jump off building before starving to death. So now you got people that have been boarded up in these apartment buildings. They're getting to the point where they're just starting to jump because, it's either starve to death or just end it. That's super sad, guys.
It is terribly sad. And Diedrich the Red, I don't have much. Thank you for all you're doing. REM, there is one river, but many wells. Also, this virus is immediate, but it is leading to the solar event. 1111, point to Damask. Prod Painter's masks are rated to be 100% 30. I wish you the best. I'm sorry, I know I butchered what you wrote, but I hope everyone understands, and thank you so much for your support, and we really, really appreciate you too.
Thank you so much for your support, guys. It means everything, obviously, and we keep going because every one of these videos is demonetized, and so it doesn't matter. This is, you guys are keeping us going and allowing us to do this, and the world has to know. We could wish that this would all go away. We could try to paint it in a different light, but there are atrocities going on. We don't want to feed them, but at the same time, by calling attention to some things, maybe we can make it so that other countries won't be able to impose the type of draconian laws and restrictions that we've seen out of China. And so hopefully we won't have elderly jumping out of buildings in the U.S. as well. It's just horrible to see. We talked about that. And here you see 2 more killed, don't know where or when. And it's a woman wailing. It's still ongoing. Now we've kind of, I guess a lot of us have almost kind of forgotten about China because it's coming home. It's coming home. So
thank you so much, ABC Now Taekwondo. Appreciate your support. And Miss Susan Donahue, Michael and Cindy, many thanks for your great work. We can get through this together. We absolutely can. It's how we respond. That's actually our responsibility, is how we respond to this. And what Michael and I can do, and we're super grateful to do it, is give a little more of an awakened perspective. Anybody can go check the news and the headlines, but I think it's important that we continue to read between the lines, especially when the numbers are still going up, not down.
And again, I want to invite everybody to go and check out my playlist on QiGong and meditation, because I'll share with you guys, and I practiced QiGong for like 30 years now, maybe more. It makes all the difference in the world. And Cindy is gifted, with a lot of ability. She could see energy very, very well. She sees the changes in my body, like after doing a video like this, and you take on these energies and it feels almost like it's attacking your system. Then we'll go do meditation, mantras, and QiGong, and I'll feel totally different. I'll feel, like just night and day. I'll feel so strong after starting to feel like, the way the world's getting to you, and you could almost, if you're an empath, you could sense these things, and it gets to you. It does get to you, and so the news is it's getting to us all as well, and it's just now starting to roost, in our own country here, and so we are going to be tested. And take the time to go within. Take the time to strengthen yourself spiritually. It's so critically important, and to unplug as well. And thank you guys always for your support. So look at this Russian Navy ship bristling with antennas. It's docked in Havana Harbor. And this is Patrick Oppman from CNN. From where it's docked, I can't make out the name of the ship, but it appears very similar to the Viktor Leonov, or a similar class of spy ship. And with this going on in the world right now, this is making me watch everything militarily much, much closer, because this is when I feel the world is more vulnerable to something happening. And I do feel that the virus, quote unquote, is part of a bigger play going on. I think it's part of a bigger play. And then there's desperation in these times. David Devine, we've talked about it. This is when regimes fail. This is when countries fail, leaderships fail, because the people are starving, there's food shortages, everything going on right now at the same time. So this is the time when somebody might do something militarily. That's why we need to watch this.
Thank you so much, BitChopperus812. Thank you.
Thank you for your support, guys. You're awesome. So I sense frustration coming out of some of these doctors. We obviously got the frustration from Dr. Paul Cottrell, Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding as well. So you could just see it. The cynicism's building because things don't make sense. What we're getting from the official sources, it's just not logical. So here he's talking about HHS error. We don't just have only 10% of the N95 masks we need. The U.S. only has 1% of masks in reserve. Oy, this shortage of masks will be a big challenge. What are they doing? It just feels like it's too contrived. It feels like it's too prepackaged, there's good reason to be suspicious of all this. So, who is Emir Yildiz? I don't know. But I will say that he had a tweet that I've talked about twice. We're back on, I think it was June 11th. I'm pretty sure it was June 11th, 2019. He talked about the outbreak. He knew it was coming. I don't know how he did. I don't know who he is. Is he some sort of code name? Is he CIA, FBI? Is he KGB, perhaps? Is he from the CCP? I don't know. But he knew, and he tweeted back in June about exactly what we see going on right now. And he describes himself as a Turk, and obviously Turkey is a key place when we're watching everything going on right now geopolitically, who is with God. And so he says, decipher 24.02.2020. The Pentagon made a very dangerous nuclear experiment. Even hashtag Trump doesn't know about this. Try. Since they are deciphered, what will they lie to? Hashtag Trump. How and in what way will they announce this dangerous trial to the world public? Research accident. We look forward to it. So, this is somebody I would keep an eye on because he knew, and again, this might not be a person, this might be an organization. Some will say maybe it's Q, it's something like that. And how he knew the world was going to be facing this outbreak, well, I don't know, but he obviously had some sort of inside info. And so if there's any brilliant minds out there that could decipher what he's talking about or do some research, if you're into doing research, I would check into this guy a little bit more. He's got 5,553 followers. And, curious because he's in the know of something.
Yeah, he is. And there's more people who came in, and hindsight's always perfect. 2020. And what we like to try to figure out is like, what are they doing so we can make the appropriate moves and actions. I think the most important thing is whatever you see on TV, whatever you see coming in, don't overreact. Don't freak out, because we are all sensitives. We, whatever somebody feels, for us, it's like 100 times more. And it can cause a reaction of a sort that's not super desirable in this society. It's just, we've been chosen, we are gifted, we are good people, but we're extremely sensitive. So if you see something going on, just try to take a step back, look at it, but don't react irrationally. Don't do it.
Okay, so Pedigree Monkey says prediction of Mother Shipton says there'll come a flu out of China. Yeah, that's interesting too. And just, even who was really Mother Shipton? Because, I've done a couple of videos on Mother Shipton. And when you look at it, was that really? Because there are those that think that it wasn't really this little old lady, that it was in some form or respect, maybe some of the powers that be. And we don't know, but interesting. I definitely, whether it's the powers that be, whether it's ultimately an Illuminati source, whether it's the Catholic Church source, the families, whatever it is, or whether it really is divine intuition. Either way, I always pay attention to them and look at it curiously. And it would be a good idea to revisit. It's been probably time to do another video on that. There's a lot of things to cover. And there was other things out there as well, right here. Milotes, NaNO particles, yes, as well. That's another component, I think, to what's going on. I think there's so much. We have that going on. We have frequency stuff going on. Is there really a bioweapon released? It seems like it is. And so I think there's a lot of different things going on at one time. And here we see death of a patient with COVID-19, County of Placer, as it starts to spread more and more, pretty much everywhere. And talking about China, we touched on this the other day. China forces the Uyghurs to work in factories supplying Nike and Apple. That's just, it's so disgusting that they're sending these people in, forcing them to work. Nothing but slaves to the party, for the betterment of, the people. Yeah, right. It's not about the people. It's about the people at the top. Yeah. It's not about the masses. And then taking like the Uyghurs, there's really no difference, not much difference between what the Nazis did and what the Chinese government is doing right now. And it's sad. So here we see, this is Hal Turner. France halts the sale of masks to the general public, only healthcare workers, because there's a shortage. So only healthcare workers are going to get them. And you have to have a prescription from a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty bad.
So, and here we're back to the fact that, something stinks with this whole situation. Most definitely something stinks. That is obvious, guys.
Yeah, it does. You know, deceit is a very smelly creature. It's super, super disgusting, and I smell it all over this animal. It's horrible. It's horrible. Makes me sick.
Yeah, most definitely. So, prepare and self-isolate as much as possible. And I hope you guys are as ready as you possibly can be for this. We'll possibly go back on again later on tonight with another update. And as always, my friends, be prepared, play it safe, and God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.
Thank you, guys.